And welcome to Riedal's channel. I recently acquired this 1992 Hollywood Hair Teresa doll, and I've been itching to clean her up ever since. So without further ado, let's go! First, let's check what needs to be done. Overall, she's in a great condition. Her gorgeous face screening is bright and intact, and her bangs are full, although a bit parted in the middle. The hair is at full length, it luckily hasn't been cut, and she still has her original earrings too, with some of her hair tangled up in them. The hair definitely needs a good brushing and washing. As far as I know, she has saran hair, which I haven't worked with as much, but for the most part, I will follow the same steps as with other hair fibers. On the crown of her head, we can see her original hairband, which has disintegrated and sort of melted into her hair over time. I'm able to peel it off a bit, but it seems to be pulling out some hair, so I'm not gonna do that just yet. Other than that, I don't see any other issues, so let's check the body. Again, overall great condition. She is missing her ring, and I can see a couple of scratches on her arms and legs, but nothing too bad. She seems to have some sort of dirt on her left leg, so let's see if we can get that off. You can also see I tied her legs up with a cotton pad and a rubber band, because her feet were pointing outwards and I wanted to straighten them a bit. It really seems like she only needs a good cleanup. As always, I will start with brushing the hair dry, for which I like to use this white pet brush. It's really the best friend for tangled doll hair. I start at the ends and I very carefully work my way up, making sure I don't cause much hair breakage. Teresa's hair is full of these little knots that are really stubborn. It's really difficult to brush them out, so I have to be super careful and take my time with this. I also make sure to brush the backside of the hair as well, and again, I'm running into these knots that are really stubborn and require a lot of TLC. Some of her hair is badly tangled around her earrings, and since I'm unable to untangle them, I decided to remove the earrings instead. For that, I placed Teresa into a plastic bag and dunked her into hot water for about 10 minutes. After that, I removed her, and while her head was still soft and squishy, I just used a towel to gently pry the earrings out of her head. Here, I had to be careful not to rip the hair out together with the earrings. And there we have it. Both earrings are out, and I can now continue with brushing the hair. As I'm working my way throughout the hair, I keep constantly encountering these weird tangles very close to her scalp, which I'm not quite sure why that's the case, but I'm hoping that the conditioner treatment later on will solve this issue. I'm brushing around the melted rubber bands just very lightly, so that's not the cause of this. This seems like something deeper inside her hair. The last thing I do here is comb the stray hairs that got caught in the bangs back where they belong. In the end, she did lose quite a bit of hair, but it doesn't seem to have made a big impact overall. Granted, with all those knots and tangles, it actually makes a lot of sense. Luckily, she has a lot of hair. And now, let's give Teresa her long-awaited wash. First, I'll unbind her legs, then place her into the pail, add a dash of dish soap, and fill the pail with hot water. Then I'll let her soak for a couple of hours. After that, I check on the hair, and I especially want to check the rubber band, which has now soaked up some water and softened, so it's a bit easier to remove. I'll go ahead and clean her up first with a sponge, which is usually a bit better at removing stubborn dirt. But I can confirm now that what looked like dirt on her leg is actually not coming off at all, so I suspect it's some surface damage to the vinyl. As the next step, I will use some shampoo and work it really well into the hair. At this point, I also remove the old rubber band, since the shampoo makes the hair a bit slippery and that makes it easier to remove these chunks. Then I'll rinse the shampoo off and prepare her for the conditioner. And it was at this point that I noticed she had something else stuck inside her hair that I didn't notice before. I'm not sure at all if this was also a rubber band or some kind of glue or something else completely. Luckily, I'm able to very carefully remove it, but it's still quite a mystery to me as to what this is or was. If any of you have or had Hollywood Hair Teresa, please let me know if you know what this is because I'm genuinely confused. I'm now constantly checking her hair for any other surprises. Now that finally everything seems okay, I'll add a very generous amount of conditioner into her hair and I just work it in thoroughly before combing the hair with a fine-tooth comb. As with any doll, I start combing from the ends up to the root. I use short, gentle movements, and only when I feel I eased the tangles, I move on to combing through the entire length of the hair. Then I rinse out most of the conditioner and I prepare the doll for the boil wash. For that, I boil water in an electric kettle, and since I'm working with saran hair now, I don't need to let the water cool off, I just use it straight away. You can see I'm really taking my time and I'm not hurrying as much as I would when handling kanekalon hair. The water is probably somewhere just above 90 degrees Celsius right now, and saran hair is a bit better at handling boiling water. Although it's not as good with handling heat tools per se, saran is still a bit finicky with those. But with boiling hot water, there is very little chance of damage, so you don't need to hurry and can leave the hair in for a longer time. What I also like to do is to gently comb the hair as I'm pulling it out of the hot water. Especially with kanekalon hair, this helps to straighten the hair strands, and I expect it to behave roughly the same way with saran. I do have to say though, you have to be super careful with hot water to not burn your hand, so please be careful. The hair now looks really good, and I have to say I absolutely love this two-toned hair color Teresa has. And it suits her so well. Now it's time to clean her up and make sure there's no remaining conditioner. Often the conditioner piles up at the scalp of the head, so I take some extra time to rinse that part very well. Then I continue combing the hair under cold water, which helps with retaining the shine and sleekiness achieved with the boil wash. At this point, I also like to curl the bangs using the modified straw method. For that, I place the doll directly into the sink and make sure she is stable and won't move. Then I place the straw directly under her bangs and pour hot water over it. I then use a comb to guide the hair into the shape I want it to be. For more detailed explanation on how exactly I curl the bangs, I will leave a link in the description box and comment section to my earlier restoration video of Hula Hair Barbie, where I documented this whole process. With saran hair, I also like to pour a little bit of hot water directly onto the hair after I'm done with the whole process. Then I gently dry the doll with a towel and prepare her for the next step, where I like to dry the bangs with a hairdryer to ensure the bangs will keep the desired shape. This way, I just have a bit more control over the final look of the bangs. I have a cheap hairdryer with only 2 settings, and I always use the lower one. A good way to approach this is to use a heat setting where you can keep your hand on the doll's hair while you dry it, so the air is not too hot. The bangs are now done, and we can continue with styling the rest of the hair. I want to recreate Teresa's original hairstyle, so I will comb through the hair a bit and section off the front part of her hair. This part will then be sort of a side ponytail. It's also fairly easy to do this, as it seems the front part is made of the brownish gold hair, and the golden blonde is mostly at the bottom part of her head. This Teresa has a bit of an awkward rooting pattern on her head, which makes her scalp show a little bit in certain places. But now I'll just secure her side ponytail with a rubber band and make sure that's tight. And that's pretty much it. I'll give a bit of an additional combing to the hair before setting her aside to dry. And of course, this is also a good moment to return her earrings, as her head is still relatively soft. So I'll just quickly push them back. As you can see, they can be a bit stubborn. But there we go. Teresa is now ready. Her hair just needs to dry and we need to fix her clothes. Teresa came to me with her original bodysuit and skirt, which needed a wash because they were a bit dirty, and sadly the golden coating that was on some parts of her outfit washed off. Now here you can see that I already applied 1 layer of gold fabric paint on it, and it worked. It just needs a couple of more layers. I really like to work with this Art Deco fabric paint because it dries up soft and it usually has a really good coverage. For this specific project, I'm using 2 shades of gold, one that's called Glorious Gold, with a lighter shade for her bodysuit, and the other is just regular gold, which I'll apply to her skirt. I'm also using an empty cardboard box covered with some paper to make sure I don't make a mess around me. To hold the garments in place, I'll use these sewing pins. I'll place these where the seams are to avoid leaving any visible holes in the outfit. Next, I'll need a couple of brushes of different sizes and a container for the paint. I'll start with applying the Glorious Gold paint to Teresa's bodysuit. As I mentioned before, this already has 1 layer of the regular gold fabric paint. The reason I went with a lighter shade of gold as the second layer is because I feel like it suits the bodysuit more overall. And as always with fabric paint, I make sure to apply it in very thin layers and let it dry out completely in between. Sometimes the paint doesn't dry well on synthetic fabric, but I found that blowing it with a hairdryer can help speed up the process. Just be mindful of the fabric, as some of them may be more sensitive towards heat. So always test it out first. Next, I'll move on to the skirt and use the regular gold paint. I think for this, I'll be fine with using the thinnest paintbrush I have. I'll pick up a good amount of paint and start tracing the outlines and the patterns that Teresa has on the skirt. These are mostly various sizes and types of stars and the word Hollywood. Luckily, even though the golden coating washed off, you can clearly see these patterns on the skirt. So all I'm doing here is just applying the paint directly onto these patterns as best as I can and as accurately as I can. There really isn't much more to it. Here I needed to add one more sewing pin to keep the skirt from moving as I was painting the letters. And here's a closer view of what exactly I'm doing, but again, it's nothing too complicated. I'm just painting over the original patterns. This is how the outfit pieces look like after a couple of additional layers of the paint, and now I'll just leave them to dry out properly before putting them on the doll. Now, before the reveal, I want to mention that I wasn't very happy with how the hair dried. It had so many flyaways and it just didn't look good. I assumed I probably overcombed the hair, so to fix it I gave her another boil wash and left her hair sitting in the hot water for 10 minutes. After that I combed the hair just once and left it to dry again. Once it dried, I again only very gently brushed it one time and didn't touch the hair again. And now finally, here we have Hollywood Hair Teresa restored. I forgot to mention she came with her original hairpiece as well, so I just returned that to her hair. I'm now super happy with how her hair looks, even though I had to baby it a little bit. I also love how her dress turned out. The orange-gold combination really fits her overall look so well. I was able to find her vest online, and you might notice it still has the original gold print on it. I'm not sure if it was more golden and has faded over time, but to me it looks a bit more on the silvery side. I personally prefer the deeper golden shade of the fabric paint, but honestly her outfit is just amazing. As I mentioned before, she had her original earrings in when I got her, but she was missing her ring. So I made one for her by cutting a Lonely Hollywood Hair Barbie earring I had in my accessory pile. It's a bit bigger than her original ring, but it's the closest I could get. Next, you can enjoy a side-by-side comparison of Teresa before and after the restoration. You might notice that her scalp is peeking through her hair, but she's not missing any hair plugs here. It's just the rooting pattern, so I just need to restyle her hair a bit better. But all in all, I'm so super happy with how Teresa came out, and she's now a gorgeous addition to my collection. And of course, I want to know your thoughts and feelings about this restoration and the Hollywood hairline in general. Please feel free to share anything and everything you might be thinking. Do you perhaps have any childhood memories linked to this doll? I'm so eager to hear your stories involving these dolls, they honestly make my day. But for now, thank you so much for watching this video, and I wish you a wonderful day.